Hi, my name is Jason Bryant. I'm an MD with Premier ER in Waco, Texas. So if you look at the sun without eye protection on, you can get a condition called solar retinopathy. And it sounds really fancy, but it's really just kind of a bruise or almost like a burn on the retina in your eye. And that's the area that perceives color and gives you your eyesight. It's in the very back part of your eye. And so, we're taught as kids not to look at the sun. Well, that's exactly why, because you get an injury to the eye called solar retinopathy. So solar retinopathy is for the most part, it's going to be a transient condition, meaning it's only going to last a short while, depending on the amount of time that you stare at the sun without eye protection. So, we've all looked at a bright light before, and you get kind of a moving spot or maybe a bright spot that stays in your vision for a short while. With solar retinopathy, it can last much longer, and in some cases, even up to several months. But generally speaking, it will heal itself within time, but it may take several months. And I suppose in a real extreme case, there could be some permanent damage to your eyes. Well, so just like when you stare at a bright light, you get kind of that spot that's there. And, initially it may be kind of a bright light that eventually creates almost like a black spot in your vision when you look out. And, that only lasts a few minutes if you do it with just regular, ordinary household light. But the issue is with the UV rays of the sun and the brightness of the sun, it can actually cause almost like a I think a sunburn is a good way is a good analogy to compare it with, but you'll know it because it'll last much longer than what you would expect. So what would ordinarily go away within maybe 10 minutes will last longer, perhaps a day, maybe even several days, could be even up to months. And at that point that you've done some damage to your eye if it doesn't go away in a reasonable amount of time. Well, there's really not much you can do. There's really not any great treatment for it. It's really just kind of allow it to heal itself. I would say if you did experience some damage or you have some loss of your visual field from the burns, from the solar retinopathy, you probably should see your eye doctor just to document any kind of permanent damage or any kind of damage to the tissue, and then it can be followed up over time just to make sure that it heals itself and that you're not left with any kind of permanent damage. So I would say it makes sense to have your doctor look at your eyes just to make sure there's been no permanent damage, or at least to track the improvement and the healing over time. The main thing is just eye protection. So that's where the majority of the people are going to get into trouble. They're going to be tempted to just take a quick glance or even to look at it. And the issue is, even for a partial eclipse, the light that does come through, you still get the UV rays that could damage your eyes. So even if it's a partial eclipse, if you're staring at it for even a brief amount of time, you can do some damage to your eyes. So obviously, with the amount of people that are going to be looking at the eclipse, I think that's probably the greatest risk. But then there's also things that traffic, and we're going to experience a pretty large influx of people to the Central Texas area, which is going to cause issues with travel and roadways and just an increased number of people on the roads. Obviously, the risk of injury or accident goes up, especially if drivers are going to try and look at the eclipse while they're driving. Obviously, that's not a good decision. So I think primarily it's damage to the eyes because that's what most people are going to be doing. But then secondarily, it's all the other things that happen because people are interested in it, either auto accidents or stumbling when you're walking outside. You try and look up and you're not paying attention and you trip off of a curb or something. So I think any kind of injury is going to be, likely with a huge influx of people into town. There's all sorts of issues that could happen. So. There are some eyeglasses that you can wear. You can see here they're very stylish. They're nearly opaque. I can't even see my screen right now, but they are, good to look at the sun. If you're tempted to look at the sun, make sure you get a good pair of glasses. And in particular, they need to be ISO sort of certified, if you will. It's ISO 12312-2. And it's just a way that they test these to ensure that they're not gonna, or that you'll be protected in the event you look at the sun. You definitely want to get you some eclipse glasses and make sure that they're the right kind and the right certification. So most of them you can get just about anywhere, but I would not even look at the sun without them. There are other ways that you can look at the sun during an eclipse without having to look directly at the light. So you can get a piece of cardboard and poke a hole in it and let the light shine through, and you can see as the sun is covered by the moon, you can see just the way the light gets blocked. And so that's another safe way to look at it without actually looking at the sun itself. Um, some folks have used like a colander or like a strainer. You can shine let the light shine through that, and you can see it as well. So there's a lot of safe ways to look at it uh, without the glasses, if indeed you can't get some. So, but they're pretty easy to find. You can pretty much get them pretty anywhere. Even convenience stores here in Waco sell them. So there's not a good reason to look at the sun without them. So I hope that's helpful. It's pretty exciting. I mean, this is like you said, once in a lifetime event. So for us, this is just a key moment that will mark a time in history for us, and stories that you can tell your kids and your grandkids. I think that's pretty exciting. There's not many things in life that you go into it knowing that this is a once in a lifetime experience. So I think that part of it's going to be very special. And for us here in Central Texas, and for a good path through Texas, we get maybe one of the best viewing experiences in the whole country. So I think our weather is going to be nice, which will be great. And there's been a lot of hype here in town and here locally and throughout Central Texas, looking forward to this eclipse. So I think this will be a really memorable experience that I think we can all enjoy, and let's do it safely.